Today I'll be reviewing a 2023 Nissan Kicks, one of the most affordable SUVs you could buy today. Now, these days for me, I review many cars. In fact, majority of the cars I review are above $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. It's very common for an EV car or a luxury car to be well above $60,000. And that is why the Nissan Kicks is so different. A fully loaded Nissan Kicks could be had under $25,000. Is a Nissan Kicks a real SUV? Is it a real contender within the compact SUV segment? And how good is it overall? Well, let me tell you more about it. All right, I'm behind the wheel. Let me tell you more about this brand new Nissan Kicks and tell you about how it drives. I would say the Nissan Kicks had a rough start. When it was first introduced, it was really funky. It was meant for the youth, a lot of playful colors, and the commercials were really out there, and people didn't quite get it. But since then, things were improved, right? And the spaciousness, the practicality within has not changed. Although Nissan improved a lot of things, like the interior basically has been revised and looks a lot better. There's a lot more standard features as well. On the outside, this definitely looks small. It's categorized as a subcompact SUV, not even a compact SUV, although the lines are very blurred these days between a subcompact, compact, and a midsize. But technically, this is a subcompact SUV, and it's very big on the inside. That's why when you get in, look at plenty of headroom, shoulder room, okay. Hip room, a little bit smaller because the door panel is like right next to your leg, but overall isn't too bad. And it doesn't feel very small. It feels much more spacious than a lot of other subcompact SUVs I've tested and a lot of sedans, obviously. And it's not just the front too. I'm 5'10". Behind my driving position, take a look. I still have maybe about 2 inches of leg room, 1 to 2 inches. I'm sitting very comfortably off the ground, but look at my headroom back there too. Plenty of headroom. So the Nissan Kicks is very deceiving. There's actually a lot more space on the inside than you would figure. And it's not just passenger room too. Take a look at the cargo room. There's plenty of space in the back. In fact, the loading floor is actually really low to give you even more cargo room, right? And that wasn't enough. You can fold down the rear seats to get you more. The rear seats, unfortunately, do not fold down flat, but they still do fold down, and you do get a lot of cargo room inside as well. So the Kicks is still very spacious on the inside, which makes it very practical, and that's fantastic. And also what I like is the fact that rear passengers at least gets 2 USB ports. And that may sound funny, but there are a lot of manufacturers that are really cheap when it comes to USB ports. So I'm really glad to see for rear passengers, even though there are no vents, unfortunately, but at least there's 2 USB ports to keep your rear passengers or kids occupied. And the same thing up front too. You do get 2 up front as well. So in total, you get 4 USB ports. Now, I did mention on the outside, the Nissan Kicks looks like a small SUV, right? But it still has its own charm and has its own presence. Nissan did make it so that the Nissan Kicks could be very flashy, like this bright orange that you see. It definitely pops, and there's many other colors that also pop. And I got done saying that, you know what, you can configure many different color combinations. Like, for example, this one has a black roof. It also comes with, you know, silver roof rails, which add some pop, some contrast. I actually like cars with a lot of contrast on the outside. With the Nissan Kicks, not only can you configure a different color roof, but you could configure many different things, different color mirrors, also your wheels, obviously, right? And there's so many things that you could configure. So if you wanted to change it up, you definitely can. But overall, with this refresh that happened about 2 years ago in 2021, I think the Nissan Kicks looks better. Now, up front, you still have 2 very large headlights, but that V-Motion grille has been made much bigger. There's more presence there, right? And I do think the front end looks pretty good. Modern, not very aggressive, but I think it looks pretty handsome. The side profile definitely looks more like a smaller hatchback kind of profile, right? Not very high off the ground, but if you look toward the back, you could see the Nissan Kicks has wide hips in the back, gives you a wider, you know, stance, a better presence. Also, if you look at the tail lamps, right, they stretch out. That's also been revised from one side to the other. I think that looks pretty good, and you still have antenna on top and a spoiler on top. Overall, I think the Nissan Kicks looks much better than some of the others in this class and especially in this price range. Now, as for the drive, I gotta say, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I expected worse, but in fact, I don't think this is bad at all. I think this is very comfortable. For people that are just going to drive this as a daily driver to get from point A to point B, it's actually quite comfortable. And that's a surprise, again, because I'm equating the price range of this SUV, right, versus some of the others I've driven. And you know what? This actually drives better than some of the SUVs I've tested that cost twice as much as this. No joke, no joke. Now, as for the engine, you're getting a small 4-cylinder that's producing 122 horsepower, and it's made into a CVT transmission. Obviously, with a small engine like this, you're going to get great fuel economy, about 36 miles per gallon overall. Now, with that said, I kind of expected this Nissan Kicks to be quite slow around town. And honestly, it feels fine. It feels fine around town. I'm going about 40 right now, speeding up to 40 decently quick. If you're just daily commuting with this, or you're stuck in stop and go traffic, it's gonna be just fine, right? You won't feel it unless you're trying to do like a 0 to 60 test, which I will in a little bit. But just around town, I think Nissan did a really good job tweaking this CVT transmission. Other things about the drive, I think the suspension is quite good. Going over local roads, it feels comfortable. Doesn't feel very mushy, doesn't feel very stiff, right? It's right in the middle. And I think this is exactly right for people that are daily commuting. They just want a comfortable ride. And that's what the Kicks provides. The steering wheel also, nothing to complain about. Even though this is not a leather wrap steering wheel that you'll find on the top trim, the SR, the normal one feels good. It has the right thickness. It doesn't feel overly cheap. There's been cars I've tested where you scratch your hands with them, right? And this one actually feels really good, even though it's not leather. It has a good design, it has a flat bottom. The buttons look legit. They don't look like big, cheap buttons. And you know what? Overall, I think this is a great steering wheel. The Nissan Kicks is also quiet. It's pretty quiet in here. You know, I don't hear much from the outside. Cars passing by, wind noise, very, very minimal. The seats are comfortable too. Nissan are known for having good seats because they are zero gravity seats developed by NASA. So they should be pretty good seats. And it's no different inside this Nissan Kicks. Feels very comfortable. The one inside this one, the SV trim, does not come with leather. It's just cloth seats. But you know what? Nothing wrong with them. Now, the one I'm driving today is the SV. So it's the mid-trim, and it's right around $22,000. But even at this price range, you're getting a whole lot of features, a lot more than what most manufacturers will give you. For example, with your headlights, you do get auto on-off, and you get auto high beams. On the inside, you get automatic climate control, which is nice. I mentioned all the USB ports that you get. And with the gauge cluster, you get a 7-inch info screen, which of course you can scroll through and view many, many things, including your vehicle settings, your safety system, right? Your tachometer, your trip computer, all that right there. Now, that's not the only screen you get. You also get an 8-inch infotainment system, and that's pretty good. Normally in a car of this price range, you're getting something a lot smaller, a lot less useful. This one pretty much gives you everything that you need. Of course, you can control your media and you can look at your system settings, but it has Bluetooth, it has Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Those are, of course, the essentials, right? The screen overall is pretty responsive. The resolution is high, and you know, it just works, right? And because of the large screen, if you go in reverse, you do, of course, get a backup camera, and it's nice and big, even though it's a little blurry. The camera probably isn't the greatest, but it gets the job done. So you also get that. I just tried to test 0 to 60. I got up to about 50 before I had to stop. But yeah, pedal to the floor kind of accelerating, right, is going to be slow. So I know I just got done saying around town it doesn't feel slow, and that's entirely true. But if you're trying to drag race, you're trying to go 0 to 60, you will feel it. The CVT is quite loud, and the car doesn't really move that quick. 0 to 60 around 10 seconds, a little bit under 10 seconds. So be ready for that. So what other features do you get with your Nissan Kicks? Well, you get a push button start, which is nice. You could get a remote start. That's also nice. And what's even better is the entire suite of Nissan Safety Shield standard. Really nice. So now the Nissan Kicks is safer than ever. The entire suite, which include blind spot monitoring, also adaptive cruise control, emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, passenger awareness, right? If you can think of it, you get it. As for pricing, there are 3 different trim levels to the Nissan Kicks. The base S starts a tad above $20,000. Then you have the SV, which is the one I'm driving today, a tad above $22,000. And then finally, you have the SR, which is slightly under $23,000. So to conclude, am I a fan of this brand new Nissan Kicks? Yes, I am. At the beginning, I talked about how most SUVs, most cars I test now are above $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right? So you would figure that, yeah, because I test all these expensive cars, that there's no way I could like the Nissan Kicks, but that is far from true. If you are looking for a smaller subcompact, compact SUV, one that's affordable, practical, spacious, and one that's quite configurable with many different colors and so forth, right? If you're looking for all those things, you should definitely check out a Nissan Kicks. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for my future review videos. Take care. Bye-bye.